All right. Hello, Patriots, freedom fighters throughout Saskatchewan, across the country, and around the world. How we all doing? I can't give you the front view because it goes all blurry. So you have to look at me. But very cool. It's working out very well. We got 3 tractors. I would have liked more tractors, but I get it. Farmers are busy. It's that time of year. They're getting ready for harvest, and not a lot of time. And it's an undertaking driving a tractor from Moose Jaw to Regina. I mean, it's only about 80 kilometers, but still, it's not cheap. Fuel isn't cheap, so whatever. We got our 3, and then we got a bunch of rigs, and then a whole shitload of vehicles. So awesome. I think we're judging by when I look at it in the back, we got well over a kilometer convoy here, so that's cool. It's working out very well. We're the last sign I saw, we were 62 kilometers away, and that was half an hour ago, if not longer. So I think it's probably somewhere around 40 kilometers to go, and we're doing 30 kilometers an hour. So roughly an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 20 before we get to Regina. And we've had lots of support along the highway. There's some right here, as a matter of fact. I can't show you, I can't turn the camera around when I'm in StreamYard, when I'm actually on it. I can't switch the view from this view to frontal view. It's one of the drawbacks of StreamYard, but even if I could, it's really blurry because it picks up the the thing that's holding the camera versus the broader view. So you're stuck looking at me. Maybe we can do this. You can check out the back window or the rear view mirror and see what we got there. Oh, good. Highway patrol. That's good. I'm sure he liked. I'm sure he liked that. We definitely got their attention. There's no doubt about it. There's a few cops sitting in Moose Jaw waiting for us. Let me put this back up here. Just so. Oop. I think we're back. All right. So we're doing 30 kilometers an hour. That's max that these tractors can go, which isn't bad, really. 30 kilometers an hour in a slow roll is about what you want to be doing anyway. So, and like I said, the trip from Moose Jaw to Regina isn't really that far. It's only 80 kilometers, I think. So, a couple hours, we'll be in Regina. Well, less now, probably an hour and 20. But all told, probably 2 hours. So that's not bad. And I forgot to bring my glasses, so I can't read the comments, you guys. Or at least not very well. Great to see such support. Thanks for hosting this. Yeah, absolutely. My pleasure and duty. Mark, thanks for all you continue to do. Wish I lived near more like-minded folks. My rural community, it's hard to know who to connect with. Yeah, I get it. But sooner or later, you're going to have lots of people paying attention. Because as they continue to do what they're doing, more people are going to be awakened. More people that are inside their bubble are going to have their bubble burst. Hang on, I gotta show you. We've had lots of this. Of course, it's a lot of people that are in the convoy, and they just drive up so they can, film it. So, but we've had lots of support just from people just being on the side of the road, outside of the convoy. So yeah, lots of good support. I'm going to put this back up here before I get... I'm only doing 30 kilometers an hour, so whatever. So we're just coming past Belle Plaine. I don't know how far that is, but we'll see a sign to Regina after this, I guess. Watching from Ontario, awesome. Yes, bursting bubbles. Well, that's what it is. It's either going to be things like this that we're doing that get people to pay attention and start picking up what's happening, or it's going to be reality. It's going to be the consequences of reality that burst people's bubbles. One way or the other, the bubbles will be burst, and when they are, it'll be a mass awakening. Oh, there's lots of support over there on the other side of the highway. That's nice. Yes, very nice. So I haven't put a switch in. That sound you're hearing is my compressor that I have buried under the back seat. And there's a cord that comes from the back seat underneath my seat into the cigarette lighter thing. And so every so often I have to turn it on just by plugging it in. I don't have a switch yet. I also still don't have a radio, which is insane to me. I can't believe I haven't put a radio in yet with the amount of convoying that I've done and been doing and will be doing. I got to get that done. I got to get a radio put in. Yeah, it's looking good. Oh yeah, I'd say we're at least a kilometer long, maybe longer. I'm trying to read, trying to focus. Watching from Swan River, Manitoba. How are you, Laurie? I finally had some family and friends come around and realize something is going on. Yes, I've only been yelling from the rooftops for 2 years, but they can finally see it for themselves. Yeah, it's happening. It's really happening. Joanne, Mark, it is so hard to get onto your site. I have to search you every time you come live, and I don't want to miss a thing. I know it's not your fault. Joanne, I would recommend following Mark Friesen PPC, my page, because I also live stream to that page as well. Then you'll be sure to get the notifications and know when I'm going live. I met 5,000 friends on my main account, and I don't like to kick people off for no reason. So, it just happens generally that people will fall off for whatever reason, and then spots fill up. But then, who knows who gets on at the time that happens. So I don't know what to do other than follow me at Mark Friesen PPC. Farmers around us starting to wake up. Honk, honk. Yes, absolutely. Well, they're forced to, right? Just their inputs this year were insane. And just to run a farming operation with fuel costs the way they are, it's crazy. So, of course, they're waking up. Again, people don't generally wake up until they're directly affected. That's just human nature. There's a few of us that have been awake for a while. For years. For years, I was yelling from the rooftops, screaming into a black hole where nobody was listening to the crazy guy talking about Agenda 21 and the UN agenda. Nobody was listening. I was very alone for a long time, and it was frustrating, and it still is frustrating because there's still a lot of people that don't want to listen, but they don't want their bubble burst, right? They're paying their bills, they're meeting the mortgage payments or rent payments and putting food on the table and getting Johnny and Susie to hockey practice and to school and whatever else. So, as long as that's okay, then inside their bubble is fine. Don't let guys like Mark Friesen burst that bubble and ruin our perspective, our worldview on things. God forbid anyone tells us the truth. It's just the way it is. It's human nature. It's what they do. So we just have to wait until they're affected. And people are starting to pay attention because inflation, the cost of living, fuel costs, grocery prices, everything's going up. And wages aren't going up at the same rate. And so interest rates are going up on mortgages. Mortgage payments are going up. Rent's going up. Everything's going up. So people will start being affected and they'll start wondering why. And, your regular politicians will just simply blame it on, bad economic policy on the behalf of Justin Trudeau. People have to understand it's a lot more than that. It's a lot deeper than that. This is systemic globalism. This isn't just happening in Canada. It's not just happening in Saskatchewan. It's not just happening in North America. It's happening throughout the Western world. And, it's all by design. People have a hard time wrapping their head around that and really understanding that evil does exist. And which is weird because we have enough history behind us to prove that evil exists. And but people don't want to admit it. They just don't want to recognize or acknowledge that evil because it's not easy. Even yesterday we had that rally or protest outside the office of the College of Physicians and Surgeons and giving people's testimonies. Oops. Gotta put some air in my tank. But even listening to to people's testimonies and their stories of loved ones who have been hurt by, there's the RCMP, give a little honk, that have been hurt by these jabs, or lost their lives due to them. And you listen to these testimonials, it's not easy. It's overwhelming. And really, quite honestly, it's traumatic if you continually hear this. And, being a loudmouth like I am, I hear it all the time. People want to share their stories and email me and message me their stories. And it's horrifying. But it's reality. And people have to wake up to the reality and understand what the hell's going on. And, when you stack that up, the death and destruction caused by this, you stack it up to their depopulation agenda, and people don't want to believe that. They don't want to believe that somebody somewhere has a depopulation agenda, and they do. All you have to do is go to my Twitter, watch the pinned tweet video of Dennis Meadows, co-founder of the Club of Rome, co-author of the book called Limits to Growth, and he's very open about it. He wants to reduce and thinks this is one of the authors of sustainable development, of the agenda itself, saying that he needs to, or they want to, reduce the world population from 7 billion to 1 billion. It has to get back down, he says. Or conversely, he says, we need to live under a dictatorship because, humanity is too irresponsible. Humanity is too loves freedom too much to handle things on their own. So they need a very strong dictatorship. So that's it. That's our options according to these people, the people who created the agenda. It's live under a dictatorship based from a global perspective, an unelected, unaccountable foreign entity dictating policy, which is happening right now, which is what Justin Trudeau is committed to, which is why our economy is in the toilet, which is why our debt is out of control, our deficit is out of control. It's all by design, right? Because they need to burn it all down to then hoard all the resources, bring all the resources in, bring all the control mechanisms in to control it. It's global governance and dominance. CTV news guy just drove by with his camera in his hand while he's driving. Uh-oh. But that's good. At least he's getting some footage. Hopefully it's reported properly. A lot of times these media guys, these reporters, these cameramen, whatever they are, they're there getting the footage. They're there taking the interview. The problem is when it gets to editing, right? It's these bosses that tell their editors, spin it and twist it in a particular way. That's where the problem is. So I tend not to give a whole lot of crap to these on-the-ground reporters. Although, if they really had integrity, they would probably. It's pathetic when my horn isn't working. It's this little Toyota beep in this F-350. Meep, meep. As Semi goes by honking. If they had any integrity, they'd probably go work somewhere else where their journalist integrity isn't demolished, when it hits the cutting room floor. It's pretty pathetic. It's pretty sad. So, but still, you know, I know there's, and he tried talking to people at that where we gathered today, and nobody would talk to him at all. And he said, "I'm sort of feeling a little self-conscious here." I said, "Yeah, nobody will talk to you." I said, "I'll talk to you," but I said, "But I'm filming it, just so you know, because you know we have to have some level of integrity, that it's not spun and cut and edited into oblivion. So we'll record it, I'll post it, and hopefully you guys will report accurately." You know, and credit where credit's due. Moose Jaw today, Jason Antoine, I think. I think I'm wrong, but something like that. Did a great job. Reported exactly on what we had talked about at the event we held in Moose Jaw. So that's greatly appreciated. I sent a message to him saying that we appreciated that. Then he did another one with Laura Lynn and what she had to say, and gave a very fair and accurate description of what Laura Lynn was talking about and why. So that's fantastic. And then there was another one done out of Davidson when we had the event in Davidson, and there was some controversy leading up to Davidson. Of course, it was online, and whatever. It is what it is. But the local rag there for that area, I think it does Davidson and Craig, also reported very fairly on what I had said and what I had talked about, and mentioned the Sustainable Development Agenda and this globalist agenda. And it's because it's real, and you can't avoid it now. The mainstream's still avoiding it, but you know. But we have to try to punch through, and we have to keep trying to get through, because there's a lot of people that still watch mainstream, and even if they twist it, even if they talk and spin it and edit it into garbage, it's still something happening that that they're looking at. So I just even bad publicity is good publicity, right? It's just it is what it is. And anyways, there's police over here on the right. They're just parked off in the weeds, and oh well, doing their thing, doing their job. They're not giving us any stress. Give them a little honk and a thumbs up. All is good. And but they got a job to do, and they're doing it, and that's good. As long as they're, leaving us alone, everybody's happy, and it's safe. We're doing 30 kilometers an hour. We're in the right lane. We've left the left lane wide open for people to pass and emergency vehicles to get through. So all is well. Sorry. Trying to focus on what's being written. I can't at the moment. All right, sorry guys. I can't read the really long ones. It's pathetic, I know, but I can't keep my eyes focused and away from what I'm doing for that long. So the long messages I can't really read. I wonder if PP has read it since you reminded. Yeah, he's guaranteed he's already read it. He knows exactly what I was talking about. He knows exactly what I was referring to, but he can't talk about it. He can't denounce it. And let's face it, none of us would be satisfied unless he did denounce it. But he can't, because if he denounces it, then that equates to him denouncing his party for signing it. And so he doesn't want any part of that. He can't. So he won't. So he won't say anything. He absolutely can't. And he'll just keep ignoring it, hoping that the majority of his base, the majority of conservative supporters, don't hold him accountable and don't bring it up. That's what he can hope for. And so far, what I've seen from conservative supporters, at least on Twitter, is that they won't hold him accountable, and they won't take back their responsibility. They seem to be more than happy to just accept what Pierre says and ignore what he doesn't say. And because, Trudeau. It's Trudeau derangement syndrome. And it's dangerous because people are too focused on what they believe is the only alternative, which isn't an alternative at all. It's the same agenda, just worded differently, just described differently. I'll give you the example, all right? Because it's a good example. It's one I usually always give. When Pierre runs across the country and he's talking about the carbon tax and how the Conservatives are going to dump the carbon tax, but still they're committed to the Paris Accord, which of course is 100% connected to sustainable development agenda. They're still committed to the Paris Accord and the targets within that accord to reduce CO2 levels, which in and of itself is ridiculous. So what do? This is how they do it. This is what the Conservatives have always done. It's the bait and switch. They bait you with dumping carbon tax, but they're still going to run a carbon pricing scheme. And the carbon pricing scheme is essentially fining big emitters, penalizing the big emitters, which, let's face it, could be, big employers or whatever, big farms even, if you think about it. And then what happens is, well, the big emitters, they pay their fine, but they end up raising prices of whatever it is they're producing, and that cost gets transferred on to the consumers. So it's still a tax. It's just hidden. And that's this bait and switch they always play. They use different language to achieve exactly the same thing. So while they're still committed to the Paris Accord, which is just a ridiculous accord, this reduction of CO2, like somehow CO2 is a pollutant, somehow CO2 causes climate change, which is insane. The climate's always changed, and it will continue to change. And it changed well before humans were even running around here. And humans are really cool that way. Humans are able to adapt to what Mother Nature throws at us because we're creative, we're builders, we're creators, we're innovators. We invent things to solve problems. It's what we do as a species. We've always done that. So, this whole idea that we have to meet these targets, why doesn't Pierre Poilievre actually stand up for our industry, stand up for our livelihoods, stand up for our resources like oil and gas, and say, you know what? We're actually not going to play this perception game anymore. We're going to pull out of this ridiculous, stupid Paris Accord completely. Because other nations are not following along either. And why would they? CO2 is not a pollutant. CO2, we need more of it if it's going to, we want to green the planet. CO2 is plant food, as I spoke about in the last video. So, what are we doing? Pull out of it completely. Why are we shutting down the only coal plant in Saskatchewan? Why are we doing that? We dumped $3 billion into it to develop carbon capture, which is in and of itself ridiculous and a waste of $3 billion. But we did it, and now we still got to shut it down. And how are we going to replace that energy? Rolling blackouts? Is that what we're going to do? Because there were times last winter where there were areas that didn't have power because there wasn't enough power generated. It's insanity. I mean, look at places like California. Look at Germany. They're in a lot of trouble because they relied on green energy, windmills and solar, which in the winter don't work worth a damn. So they're very dependent on places like Russia that still produces and actually nurtures their energy industry while we destroy ours. So Pierre Poliver, why don't you stand up for our industry? Why don't you stand up for our energy and some of the cleanest produced energy on the planet, I might add. Why not? Why not? Instead of buying into this international agreement, this Paris Accord insanity. Just stand up. Stand up and say no. But you can't, can you? Because you're committed to the Sustainable Development Agenda. You signed us onto it in 92. You signed us onto it in 2015, a month before Trudeau was elected, and then referred to our country as the first post-national state because he's fully committed to a foreign agenda, an unelected, unaccountable entity that created this agenda to destroy Western civilization and the industrialized world. It's their plan. They've told us this. But you're committed, your party's committed to it, so you can't say anything about it. So anyways, thanks for the comment. That got me going on a rant. There's the RCMP coming up on our shoulder here. There they go. Very good. Thank you, guys. Oh, lots of thumbs up. Lots of thumbs up. I haven't had anyone flip me the bird yet. A little disappointed. Although there was a big orange Ally truck that must have been somewhat frustrated because he had to slow down a little bit. When he got up to me, he cut me right off. Somebody waving a cowbell out the window. That's awesome. Yeah, so this big Ally truck, I guess he was a little pissy, but whatever. But yeah, nobody's flipped the bird yet. I gotta always remember to pull the plug on that compressor because there was a time where I had forgotten about it and blew all the hoses off. So I always have to remember to unplug that thing. There's more love. That's nice. Yeah, a ton of support. Lots of people all over the place with their flags and thumbs up on the side of the road. It's good. People are getting it. People are getting it. And really, when you talk about our food production, that affects everybody. You know, our ability to produce food is sort of the hallmark to our civilization here, and especially in Canada, especially in Western Canada. It's what we do. And to strangle that ability and to harm that ability to produce food affects everybody. Again, it's not just the farmers that are going to be affected. It's everyone's ability to feed their family, right? Like take 30% nitrogen out of the fertilizer, and you're looking at much a 30% reduction in the quality of crops, in the quality and quantity, right? So it's going to affect everybody. It's nobody goes unscathed when they do this. Well, that was an Ontario plate. So yeah, everyone's affected by this. So this is an issue that should garner a ton of support from the people, from just the normies, the regulars, right? Because it's going to affect everyone. It's going to hurt everyone, especially in provinces like, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, that farming is a huge part of our GDP. And when you've attacked the oil and gas sector and that energy industry, so hard, destroying livelihoods, and destroying jobs in Alberta and Saskatchewan, and now you're going to come after farming, but this is what they want to do. This is exactly what they want to do. They want to destroy the family farm. They want to destroy industry. They want to destroy livelihoods to make everyone desperate, and desperate for government to save them. And we know what happens when we're in that situation. Government's not there to love you. Government's not there to protect you. Government's not there to feed you. How many times in history do you have to go through this to understand that's not how it works? But they're trying it again, this time globally. So we have no choice but to stand up. We have no choice but to defend our way of life, our livelihoods. And a lot of that, of course, is farming. I mean, look around. And there's Regina, if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it over there, but just over there. But yeah, look around, right? So you're going to destroy 30% of all of this with your restrictions, with your sustainable development agenda. That's what you're going to do. It's pretty crazy. I'll give you guys a different view here for a little while, instead of having to stare at me the whole time. So I mean, this is an issue that is going to affect all of us, and people better wake up. They better wake up soon, because sooner or later they're going to be wondering why the grocery shelves are empty. All right, more love coming up here on the right. And there's the fatty. I don't know if you can see that back there. If you can see that truck or that tractor. Maybe it's easier to see it from the mirror. But yeah, he can only do about 30 kilometers an hour. Maybe he could touch more, but there's another tractor in there that can only do 30. That's why we're doing 30. The tractors dictate our pace. And it's kind of nice pace. Oh, hang on a sec. I see the popo coming, so I got to keep it down. All right. All right, I'm going to put it back up here now. So yeah, anyway, so it's important that we do these things and we raise awareness. Because if we don't, the politicians will continue to think they can do whatever the hell they want and take no action and just let things slide until it slides into oblivion. So we have to force their hand sometimes, and we do that with the people. The people have the power. It's just that a lot of people aren't exercising their power because they don't have the information that would inspire them to exercise their power. And why don't they have that information? Well, because the media has the information locked down. And too many people rely on the media for their information, which is the first mistake. People actually think that if they watch the news every day, that they're informed. They couldn't be further from the truth. People who rely on the media for information are the least informed. They're being told exactly what these people want them to be told. They create the news. They don't report the news. And then they create the news, and then they have the media talk about it. And promote their agenda and promote their narrative. And people still have a hard time accepting that reality. Even when their tax dollars are being used to pay off the media so the media can lie to us as effectively as they do. But people don't, a lot of people don't want to see the world that way, truthfully, the way it's the reality of things. They like living in this blissful ignorance because then everything's fine, right? When in reality, everything isn't fine, not even remotely close to fine. Sorry guys, for some reason I can't even read the short ones now. Yeah, I can't. I'm trying. I can read names, but I can't read the print very well. Yeah, sorry guys. All right, so we're getting close to Regina. We can see the skyline. Oh, some more love coming up here on the right. There we go. That's nice. Young family. Little ones waving the flags. Gotta love it. Breaking the action there. I think I'm back. So yeah, we're coming up to Regina. We'll be hitting the access point here at some point in the relatively near future. But apparently there's some people gathering on Albert in Regina to give us some love, so that'll be nice. Sure, a lot of people driving around with flags on their cars, even on the other side there, so that's good to see. I don't know if you guys can see that. Maybe you can. Every so often when the flag's not in your way. But there's a pretty good line there. Sorry guys, I tried. Yeah. I've been rambling. I've been rambling enough. I'm gonna probably take a break. You guys gotta charge my phone and a couple other things. I'm gonna come back at you when we're in Regina. So we'll come back in a bit. All right, I'm just gonna wait to pass this popo here, and then we'll be good. All right, that's it for now. We'll see you in a little bit.